there, here's what this is. The Forgotten Video Store is a weird and kind of gross rental store in North Hollywood where all their videos are bootlegs of unreleased, lost, or otherwise impossible to find movies. And on this podcast, we go to the Forgotten Video Store and rent one of their movies and try to make sense of it. I'm your host, David Murto, aka Daddy Big Cup. And if you thought Leah Renee was the only smart, funny woman named Leah R. who left a particularly repressive religion and then made interesting art about it, then you're about to get schooled, because my guest this week is a stand-up comedian whose Edinburgh Fringe shows include Best Cult Ever about leaving the Mormon church. Leah Renee is here. Leah, thank you so much for going to the video store with me.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Happy to be here.
Now, the movie you picked out was something called What Can I Get You? From 2018.
When I looked at the front of the box, I mean, the imagery was great as well, but as someone who's left Mormonism, of course, I was drawn to a story about a woman who's left Mormonism and is trying alcohol for the first time, and I wanted to see how her experience tracks with mine, and yeah, a little different. But there's some similarities.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, our lead character, we meet her. She's played by Michelle Gellar.
Queen.
Wonderful actress. Yeah. From Buffy the Vampire Slayer and a bunch of other stuff. And she's playing a woman who we learn is having a hard time because she just left the Mormon church. And so she's feeling kind of lost without her community.
I don't know that they ever said Mormon directly to avoid kind of lawsuit stuff. So I figured that out from some of the different things within there that she's talking about.
Sure, it's subtext.
Because they were trying to be careful to maybe please their producer, sponsors, people that funded it. So I interpret her as being Mormon, but maybe for legal reasons.
Right, she says the church. And they make a big point about this is her first time drinking alcohol. So those are kind of the biggest clues.
Yeah. I think she references Utah a couple times in there. But
those are some pretty big hints.
As Mormon, I was like, ooh, they have to be, just because the Mormon church right now is suing a podcast because they use the word Mormon in their title.
Interesting.
But they're not suing Book of Mormon musical or South Park or any of the others. I'm just like, that's kind of why I wonder if the film didn't get bigger than it did, because maybe they were like afraid of legal stuff.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Okay, so our lead character, played by the great Michelle Gellar, has just left an unnamed church,
which we can tell is Mormon, but they won't say it directly. Yeah.
Her friend, played by Hayley Atwell, wonderful English actress who's doing an American accent pretty well in this movie.
Yeah, not bad.
This is her like one friend from school, like outside of the church, kind of bearing her soul to her as I feel so lost, I'm depressed. I need some sort of energy boost. And Haley's like, well, what I do when I'm feeling down, I just go out, I'm going to have a great night at the bar.
Yeah.
And Michelle Gellar is like, well, I don't do, I've never even had alcohol before. And Haley's like, let me be your guide.
Yeah, I felt like that was very believable as an ex-Mormon who tried alcohol for the first time in my late 30s. Even though she's playing an American, I think because we've seen her in other stuff, we know she's a Brit. We know she knows how to drink. We know she's gonna navigate the rules of the bar, because it is very intimidating, drinking culture, and not knowing, if somebody buys you a drink, what does that mean? And if somebody's flirting with you. And so, yeah, she acts as this like wise guide to the adult world that Sarah's never gone into.
Yeah, and they do present it like almost like Willy Wonka leading the kids into the chocolate factory is when Haley opens the door to the bar, and it's like all these sights she's never seen, with the dim lighting. And
the Christmas, there's like those multicolored Christmas lights in the corner, neon signs.
Fully digital jukebox. It doesn't have the literal records that it's moving around. It's just digital, but it's cool. It looks good. It's like lit up and stuff. And guys playing darts.
It definitely has that kind of bump, 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 ba-da, bump, ba-da,
Oh, yeah. Star Wars. Yeah. You're like, look at all these kooky creatures. And they're all just like
a very different world than she's been in, and she's grateful to have her friend there to hold her hand through this milestone.
And Michelle Gellar, she does some great just facial acting in this scene too. She shows that she's trying to be brave, but she's feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, she's got these like big doe-eyed, she's like looks over and there's, people making out in the corner and a group of like frat guys doing shots and just like taking in all the sights, sort of like when you go to an amusement park or something and there's all these carnies like shouting out different stuff.
The
that
barkers.
She's like, whoa.
They approach the bar. Haley says, I'll get a martini, and Sarah Michelle Gellar says, should I get that? And she's like, no, this is a very advanced drink.
Yeah,
You're going to want to...
It's going to be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
slow.
Haley says, just get a beer.
And it's like the house beer or whatever the kind of common popular one that they have.
She looks and there's like a display of like a White Claw, right? And that's like a new drink because that just came out in like 2016, like right before they made this movie, basically.
This was like the movie that launched White Claw.
Yeah,
Did you feel that way throughout the whole thing?
It's like...
There was so much like product placement in it because we don't even know what kind of beer it is. It's just like a generic. He pulls it from the...
Right.
But there's like the like rotating
White Claw. It's the only brand name you hear in the whole movie. But so she sees that, and then like kind of cute guy with like a man bun like leans over and says, you should get the whiskey sour. They're good here.
Yeah.
And then she also sees like an older woman drinking a glass of red wine. And then the bartender says to Sarah Michelle Gellar, what can I get you? And I said, hey, that's the title of the movie. And then they do this thing where it's like a 4-way split screen, and it's 4 Sarah Michelle Gellars, and she like looks to camera and says, I'll get a... And then she said it's like simultaneous beer.
Yeah, there's like, just get me a beer, or then... and
can I have a whiskey sour?
Is one of them.
I'll have a glass of red wine, or I'll try that White Claw.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think they're like setting up this idea of multiple timelines, but I don't know that they always effectively get us back. If you've seen Sliding Doors, have we already brought up Sliding Doors?
No, but this is interesting. Yeah, this was 20 years after Sliding Doors. Sliding Doors, if you haven't seen it, it's like Gwyneth Paltrow either catches the train or doesn't catch the train, and she lives out her life in 2 different ways based on that one small event that happened to her, and her hair's different. And that's how you tell which one is which.
And one is noticeably cooler than the other.
Right. Here's where I'm going to say, what can I get you is an escalation in a couple ways, is that it's 4 different choices of drinks. And in Sliding Doors, it was a complete accident whether she catches the train or not. In this movie, she
has more control over her
It's
fate.
her agency.
It's like she's choosing.
This movie, it's like the choices you make matter and are going to determine the course of your life, which I thought was cool. But anyway, we see that 4-way split screen, and then the camera kind of pulls into the one where she gets the beer, and you see like her hand reaching out, and like the bartender hands her the beer. And then there's like a Wes Anderson style like big title that says beer on the screen, right?
Yeah, so that we know here's the beer choice. Here, so if you're really dumb and you're watching it, you're like, did she just order 4 drinks at once? Like, she is going to be sick. With their editing, try to really emphasize these are 4 different choices.
Yeah, it's kind of like quantum physics, right?
Yeah, it's
Schrodinger or whatever, and it's like all of these kind of exist.
Or somewhere in time.
Split parallel realities.
I mean, I got to hand it to them for being ambitious. 4 different timelines is pretty difficult, but also it stays in like real time, like Pulp Fiction. There's so few movies that it's like kind of minute by minute where they're not jumping like even to the next day. Yes, exactly. So I think that's how they're able to do it. But like in Sliding Doors, a lot more time passes. She gets her hair cut and dyed, and you see how her life, whereas they're trying to show like this little mini universe that can happen just in a night.
We see Sarah Michelle Gellar take her first sip of beer.
Yeah, she hates it. Yeah, it's so gross. I absolutely relate to that. Ew.
And Haley's like, it'll grow on you, it's an acquired taste or whatever.
Her friend tries to kind of comfort her, like, it's okay, you'll get used to it. She's sort of there for her to chat, but like I felt like under the beer timeline, things stayed pretty much the same, that there was a very kind of watered down.
Which makes sense because of the drinks, it's the lowest alcohol by volume, so it's like the closer to who you are without making any decision. A detail that I liked is like someone goes up to the like a digital jukebox or whatever and like picks out a song, and then Born in the USA starts playing.
Nothing says beer like Bruce Springsteen.
And Sarah's drinking her beer, and then like this trucker looking guy comes up to her.
Yeah, like stereotypical, like hyper masculine.
Drives a truck, watches the game, eats chicken wings.
Now, what's a girl like you doing in a like that kind of, I mean, that's sort of what I thought bars would be like as well. That to me, that was like a stereotypical trope. of like a woman drinking and then a man coming up to you and yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm just out with my friend and I just want to talk with my friend. And he like gets all offended, like, oh, I'm just trying to be friendly. I guess that's what I get for you can't even be nice to a girl anymore. Like this kind of deal.
Yes, this was like during the Me Too movement.
Yeah. So basically we're focusing on this conversation between Sarah and Haley. Sarah's bearing her soul about what it means to her to leave the church behind. It's the hardest decision she's ever had to make, but she felt like she was pretending these last few years.
Her friends there, you get the feeling that they're not like extremely close.
Right.
One of those friends that you can have a long conversation with, but they're not like a BFF. Like she wasn't a bridesmaid in her wedding kind of thing. Yeah, the beer timeline was pretty basic.
Dry. And it kind of reaches the transition point when Sarah Michelle Gellar like takes the last sip of beer, sets it down, the camera like goes real close on the glass, and then they do this weird thing where it's like you follow the journey of the beer in reverse.
Brrr, like rolling back the tape.
Yeah, but like in a kind of stylized way where like Sarah puts it to her lips and the beer kind of shoots out of her mouth back into the glass, and like she walks backwards to the bar and the guy like puts it under the tap and like the tap basically like sucks up all the beer into it.
We're back to the 4-screen.
Yeah, but this time it goes in to the whiskey sour reality. Pulls in Wes Anderson title thing.
Second
whiskey
panel.
Sour. Remember the guy with the man bun next to her? He recommended the whiskey sour?
Yeah, that guy. He ends up playing a big part in this. Basically, Haley like ditches her in the whiskey sour one.
Which is like kind of story-wise makes a little, it's maybe like heightened, but it makes sense because like Haley said, order a beer. And like at that decision point, Sarah is saying no to her friend and saying yes to this hot stranger.
They're putting a lot into the symbolism, I think, of each drink that she orders. Because that was something I didn't know with alcohol. I just thought alcohol is alcohol. It all does the same thing, right? Like if you take a breathalyzer test, like, and it shows, so I didn't realize that like different alcohols affect you differently. And I think they play on
in
that.
real life, I think that is a myth. It's like everyone has anecdotes about like, oh, I can't drink, tequila because it makes me too crazy.
You think it's like self-fulfilling prophecy?
It's a placebo effect. Largely,
I've wondered that because it's the same thing with eating food. Like eating Indian food can give you diarrhea, and Chinese food can give you and Chipotle, and you know what I mean? Like it's just fat and salt and grease, and it's like there's just something that hits differently. Anyway, as someone that's new to drinking, that's why I found it fascinating, because they perpetuate the narrative.
Yeah, it's like partway between like a myth and maybe an oversimplification, because like I feel like I always am in a great mood if I have an old fashioned, but that's because like it tastes great and it reminds me of fun times, and it could be like the external factors around it instead of like literally it's a potion that makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was true because she has these 4 drinks. And like the wine one kind of like makes her sort of sleepy and depressed. And I've definitely felt that. Whiskey sours. So as I understand whiskey, it's like whiskey and then they mix it with like light fruity.
Right. So it's like a kind of a marriage of old
fashioned
and new.
Which is kind of what this guy is like that recommended.
And I thought this was interesting. He says almost the exact same thing that the trucker guy said. What's interesting gal like you doing in this kind of a joint? And she like giggles and like gets kind of into it, right?
Yeah, I can't tell if it's the whiskey sour that's making her
giggle, or is it just
or
like the hot guy
attention from the dude. Yeah. He has that like kind hipster energy, and the jukebox thing. So what was the one that they played with like Sufjan Stevens or something?
Yeah.
It's like a much like gentler kind of
hipster
tone, and it's almost like the beer timeline. It's sort of more the same, just kind of basic. But the whiskey sour one, there's sort of hope that her life could be a little bit more fun than it has been, but not too fun. It's like they ratchet it up.
Yeah, it's a slight escalation. You don't get the sense that Haley is offended. She's just like...
She's a third wheel.
She goes off and does her thing, like starts talking to like an older man or whatever, because she's like, this is kind of what she wanted to happen, right? This is best case scenario almost, because it's like she's showing her friend a good time, turning her mood around.
The man bun guy, he's talking about open beam planked housing, or just kind of that whole, it's like when Edison bulbs became really popular and kind of industrial furniture and that kind of.
Right. But like the whiskey part of it is like he works with his hands, you know, he's that kind of a man. But the whiskey sour part is like into hip, like cool
He's still
stuff.
hip and cool.
And so they like really hit it off. And it almost was like, I don't know if Mormons have like the equivalent of Rumspringa that Amish people have, where it's like this little vacation from.
I mean, if they want to, they definitely don't condone it, but there are many Mormons that when they leave it, do their own.
Yeah, and so that's kind of that's the impression I got from this, because like she is really open to this guy's advances, and like she's the one who initiates like taking him back to the bathroom. They lock the door and everything, and they're having like the hot makeout.
Yeah, very giggly.
And you do get to see the guy from the beer story again, like the trucker guy, because he's like banging on the door. I'm about to explode out here.
I'm gonna burst.
They're kind of ignoring him and just having like a really steamy makeout sesh. It's kind of hot. She unbuttons a couple buttons of his flannel and you get to see his chest and stuff, and he's looking pretty fit. But then what happens is the trucker guy pounding on the door says, I bet it was that, he uses a slur against man bun guy and that slut in there. And that's when man bun guy is like, because he doesn't take to that kind of stuff, right? Disrespecting this woman.
Yeah.
So he unlocks the door, pushes the guy, says, you've been harassing women here all night and I've had about enough. They get in like they're not throwing punches, but they're like kind of wrestling each other, right?
Pushing a little bit. And then the bartender says, get out of here, Dave.
He's had trouble with that guy before. Apparently the guy is like, no, I need to piss, and he's like, not in here, you don't. And he sends him, and he does piss his pants on the way out. And so that's like the final humiliation for this trucker guy, which is cool.
And then he gets hit by a Prius.
Yeah, that was an interesting detail and symbolic, you know. At one point the hot man bun guy had taken off his flannel, right? And so he gives it to Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she puts on the flannel, and that's like a visual indicator, like this is the woman who chose the whiskey sour, right?
Yeah, now we can tell it's whiskey sour.
And
Sarah.
then she goes and she takes one last sip from her drink and sets it down on the bar. And we do that thing again where it like zooms in on the drink, and then it has her like reverse all the way back to the guy like mixing the drink, and then reverse until everything's back in its proper bottles. And then we go to the 4-way thing again, only this time she says, I'll take the third red
panel,
wine.
Red wine. Red wine, which actually is not playing. It would be too on the nose.
Right.
The jukebox music for the red wine scene, wasn't it like La Vie en Rose?
Oh,
like,
yeah, from Edith Piaf. Yeah, very beautiful song, but like slow and sad.
Doesn't she like talks to the lady?
The older woman.
Recommended... that recommended the red wine. Basically, Haley is only a major player in the first panel.
Mm-hmm. You see her in the others, but like she's a supporting figure.
She's like striking up different conversations with each kind of drink that she has. So whiskey sour guy doesn't play into the wine timeline.
No, in this timeline,
really,
she like kind of blew him off. He's like, you should get a whiskey sour, and she orders a red wine. So that's like a tacit turning him down.
Yeah.
She goes and she sits next to this older woman and says, you know, I left my church and now I don't talk to my parents. I don't see my friends. I'm with this other woman that I kind of know from school, but, you know, my life just feels empty right now.
And this lady kind of acts as an old sage. I've been through a lot of life. You'll get through this. And that's when we start to hear more of Sarah's story a little bit and why it's so difficult for her to make the changes that she has, because she admits that the church was really good for her family and really like help them out of a tough time. So that's more like the tender moment. It's the what is that? There was that quote about there's some Latin phrase for me that says I drink and I know things.
I thought that was from Game of Thrones.
It's like in
vino veritas is like when you drink wine you tell the truth or whatever. It's like alcohol brings out the truth.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So that's what I would call the third panel.
Yeah. And what the old lady says is, you need this more than me. And she gives her the rosary, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes. Oh my gosh. I almost forgot about the rosary.
Mhm.
Yeah. She pulls it out of her pocket with a little crucifix on it and stuff. And she's like, thank you. So like, it's kind of the one emotional moment. Then of course gets ruined because she gets hit on by another guy.
Right. Yeah.
They have this really tender conversation. It's very sweet. And I don't know if they just didn't know a way to get out of it or they wanted to keep a pattern of her getting hit on by a different guy.
That, like,
but
no matter the choices you make, if you're a lovely woman, you're going to get hit on at the bar.
It's like, that's what we learn.
But the guy this time was like an old Italian guy, right?
Fancy, older European guy.
Who's like clearly looking for a young wife to take care of him in his dotage.
There wasn't any chemistry between them. There wasn't a confrontation that broke it up. It was sort of, I think, to kind of keep the pattern going. I didn't think they really needed to add that guy in there. But there was kind of this feeling of things being old and traditional.
She real quick like braids her hair in like a real old-timey fashion.
She puts her hair back. Yeah, that's how we can tell the wine story, because she has a crucifix and her hair is pulled back in a braid. And then like the whiskey sour version of her is wearing the guy's flannel.
Mm-hmm. And the beer one is regular.
And then we haven't even got to White Claw, which is the most fun.
So then, they do that thing where blah, 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 the wine goes backwards and everything. And then they go to the 4-way split screen and she orders White Claw. Hey, I'll try that White Claw.
More than just kind of her reacting to the shiny marketing, the whole next 10 minutes is just marketing for White Claw, because she clearly has the time of her life.
I like that she real quick sneaks over to the tattoo shop and gets a septum piercing, and that's how we tell her apart in this reality.
Like, I know for me, when I very first started drinking, I had like one White Claw, and I don't want to say I couldn't pass a sobriety test, but my balance was off.
Sure.
After one. But of course, this is, I'm sure White Claw like helped fund this movie.
Yeah, so they're making it seem awesome.
Because she's like, she's drunk enough to have fun, but not so drunk that her motor skills aren't great. But I guess that would help with getting a piercing. Isn't it kind of, alcohol like dulls pain?
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess if you're gonna get a piercing, a cartilage piercing, you may as well do it when you're on the sauce.
Yeah, and she looks awesome with the piercing. And then she comes back in the bar, orders another White Claw.
Hair up in a ponytail.
And a dude
she's got like a halter top.
And the dude who goes to the jukebox. I thought this was interesting. It's showing that her choices don't just affect how her life plays out. They affect the entire world around her. It affects what people want to put on the jukebox. So it's like the butterfly effect, right? It's like your choices affect everyone around you. So whoever saw like this cool girl with a septum piercing drinking White Claws, maybe that somehow inspired them.
Yeah,
what song they're going to put on.
She changes the energy in the room.
And what was the song that the dude put on?
Despacito.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like dancing on the table. Like it was the closest that we get to 80s and 90s dance scenes in movies. I mean, it wasn't like a flash mob, but the whole energy of the bar went up.
She's singing and she's, got a great voice, which we remember from that episode of Buffy where they had like cursed that they had to sing the whole episode.
Yeah, she does it all in Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had to like dub some of it or, if she had to have a dialect coach or something, but for a gringa, I thought it was pretty good.
And then there's this hot tech bro.
Yeah, like a startup bro, kind of biohacking.
You know what? He's handsome, but not quite hot. He's like a Timothy Oliphant type, where it's like everything works.
He has a lot of confidence.
Right.
He's somebody that when you first see him, you're like, but then he's got the riz.
So he goes up, starts dancing with her. Yeah. And it's real, she's kind of getting into it. And he's like, I want to show you something. And they go into the bathroom too. And I'm like, oh, is this going to be like a repeat where she hooks up with a different guy this time?
No. They do a key bump of cocaine. I was like, oh,
cool.
Man.
Let's get this party going.
Or it's like an 8-ball or I don't know. I don't know what the amount
It seemed like more cocaine than you would.
I mean, it's a movie. So
right.
I mean, I don't know what a normal amount would be, but it definitely they played up that he's got money.
Yeah, and so she does a big ol'
successful,
and she goes, wow, and they're off and running. So she's starting to feel really hot, and she like takes off a layer, right? And so in addition to the septum piercing, this is another way you can tell which storyline.
They go outside because they're hot, and it's one of those, those like bars that have a courtyard kind of like gravel in the back with, so they're playing bocce ball. Did you
That's
know
cool.
that's what that was? Those little
I recognize that. I don't know the rules or anything, but it's cool. Like
it's kind of like a lawn game. Yeah, like hipster bar kind of thing. So they decide because they're just
hyped, they're hyped. They're having a good time. But
let's go play.
Who followed her out there is the trucker guy.
The trucker guy comes back.
And he's kind of like, I have some other balls I'd like to see you grab, when she is like holding the ball. And she's like, what the fuck did you say to me? And he's like, you should keep that kind of language out of that purty mouth. And she like takes a big old bocce ball and goes, pop, right up the side of his head.
Yeah, it's so unexpected. Especially because this is right after the wine scene where it's like all
real calm,
quiet and all. Yeah, and you're like, definitely, I have never tried cocaine. Definitely not feeling like it would be a good idea. She's like superhuman because the guy's big.
But
like,
that bocce ball is heavy.
Guy. Yeah, it's solid wood.
So she's like, all right, we gotta hide the and the tech bro's like,
out and they're not sure if he's dead or not. And the tech bro guy's freaked out.
It's like, whoa, this is not what this is. I'm not into this kind of stuff. And he's trying to, and she like grabs him by the shirt and is like, you're gonna help me hide him.
Yeah, he's definitely not into it because he knows this could like ruin all of the work that he's done. That because he's like pretty successful in his career stuff, that this could take him down. And he was like, I swear to you, if you take me down. And she's just like puts her fingers over his mouth and is like, I was Mormon. I know how to hide stuff. Okay, she doesn't say Mormon. She says like at the church or something like that.
Yeah.
They try to make it kind of cutesy instead of like turning it into a full-blown thriller.
Right. Yeah. It's still like we're having a good time at the bar. And it's like, I don't advocate violence, but I didn't feel bad when that guy got smashed.
Yeah. I mean, he's been a real a-hole throughout the whole, in every timeline.
Right.
I mean, he features most prominently in the first one, but
behind the bar, they had like the boxes full of empty bottles and stuff, because maybe the bar like keeps the bottles to like turn in for the 10-cent rebate or whatever. But they've got like hundreds of bottles and stuff. And so they kind of push those on top of him and like hide him under that. It's real cool. And you see Sarah Michelle Gellar like take the last sip of her White Claw.
Smash it down.
That was awesome. And then
I wanted her to crunch it on her head. After she bludgeoned the guy with the bocce ball, I wanted her to go full on. But sadly that did not happen.
Yeah. And then
the
the thing you see then is like, she like implies like, I know a little something about you. And I think I'd make a great addition to your team or whatever. And so you get the implication she's gonna,
almost like she's threatening him. Like, now
I'm going to ruin your life unless you bring me in. And she's in a great place now. And White Claw made it happen for her. Then what happens is we go into the 4-way split screen again, but it's like where we left them at the end of their stories, right? And then all 4 of them return to the bar. You see the bartender again, what can I get you? Title of the movie. Each one of those splits into 4 different ones where she orders a different drink. And so there's 4 permutations of each of the 4 stories we've already seen. So it breaks into 16 different screens.
Honestly, it was pretty overwhelming. Like, I sort of got the sense that the director wanted you to feel like there's infinite possibilities of how to, like, he didn't want you to focus in on a person specific. Like, that one was the best. It's more like on any given day,
you face so many choices. And each one,
thousands of micro decisions.
We see the different permutations of what can happen if you drink a glass of red wine and then a Negroni. She's like crying and she calls her parents and it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I made a big mistake or whatever. And then we see like what happened if you have a beer and a vodka tonic. And then she's like,
yeah. And it's all just showing like the different choices that we have. Like it sometimes seems like it's just a long commercial for different types of alcohol, but I feel like all the alcohol was a symbol. Like the wine in the film was
a more serious side of life.
Yeah. And like old world, like everybody associated with that. It was like traditions and coming from the old country and stuff like that. The White Claw to me was like millennials sort of now being adults, but they want to have fun. Whiskey sour was the combination of kind of old traditional and new, and the desire to blend cultures. So all of these different split screen things we're trying to communicate that all these little micro decisions that we make influence the person that we become. So they're just using alcohol as a way of showing the choices that we make and the consequences that they have.
So this movie's smart.
I mean, kind of. It didn't have to be alcohol. She could go to, like, I don't know, animal shelter.
But it's like fun
get
to
a dog
like,
and get a bird and get a they use it because it's like a nice cultural touch point that most of us have an understanding.
I was very confused by the ending because you see kind of a wider shot of the bar, and there's Sarah Michelle Gellar, and there she is talking to Haley, and there she is with the man bun guy, and there she is yelling at the trucker, and like there's like 16
it was like all of them in one. Yeah,
and
it was kind of woo-woo.
And I'm like, are they seeing each other? Because it kind of looked like they walked like around each other. It's like they could tell that each other were there.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that. If they used like CGI or something, or just a bunch of people that looked like her and didn't show her face.
Or multiple exposures, probably. They had the camera.
Yeah.
Like, they can do that kind of stuff now.
It's very
like with
amazing camera work.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
But I think at the end where they're showing everything, it's sort of an acceptance of all these parts of ourselves, to not say it's better to be fun than it is to be serious. Because I don't know,
it's like you kind of need them all. There are times to be serious,
right? Yeah, it's very Jungian. It's very shadow side, the different archetypes and how, I contain multitudes kind of thing.
And the movie started with her feeling alone, right? Because she left the church, she left her community, her family behind. But now she's showing it's like you're not alone when you have all these facets of yourself, perhaps.
That you make your own best company.
There's a cool shot where like the camera is like, maybe it's on a steady camera or something, is going around the bar, and you see like all these Sarah Michelle Gellars getting up to different stuff.
Different ones.
One's like doing shots, one's like making out with someone. One, it looked like she was making out with Haley, which was cool. And then dancing, playing darts, and it's like a beautiful tracking shot around the whole bar. But then like it kind of pulls back through the window of the bar. And then you see all the Sarahs, it like stops and then they all kind of suck together, and then backwards, all the drinks like return to their places.
It does that backwards motion thing that they established earlier, where they would go in the empty cup and go and like play it in reverse. So it was like all these little Sarahs that were around were like kind of sucked in backwards,
reconstituted into a single Sarah. And then we're back with her and Haley like just arriving at the bar, like at the beginning of the movie.
Yep, they go right back to the beginning. I thought it looked cool. I thought they found a good way to reorient us, because it gets confusing with all the different Sarahs.
Yeah.
Of like which one's which. So they make it very clear that we're right back to the beginning when they first walked in the bar. And then we've got Haley and Sarah sitting there at the bar. And then the bartender comes to her and says, "What can I get you?"
That's the title of the movie.
And then she's like...
opens her mouth to say something, but then it's like cut to black.
And there's kind of this like little smile. Like she's sort of, her eyes are really wide. Like she's scanning a menu and like... but then we don't find out. We don't find out.
It ends on a world of possibilities, and she's unsure, but she seems like confident that her path is going to be good. It's like she's going to be okay.
Because all of those Sarahs are inside of her.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for picking out that movie.
Cool movie.
To end the show, I like to do like plugs and shout outs and stuff. So like if you want to promote anything, you can do that, or shout out, shine a light on anything you want to, or, discuss anything that comes to mind.
I'm going to shout out One Ply toilet paper. That's what I'm going to do.
That's demented. This is horrifying. Why would you say that?
Because if toilet paper is too soft, it's hard to tell if you're done, if you've gotten everything. I need a little exfoliation to be sure that I've completely cleared the area. I mean, how else are you going to know unless you have sandpaper on your butthole?
How many times are you folding over this one ply toilet paper?
So are you a folder or a nester, or like...
I fold. Mine are clean. I take it out and I fold it cleanly in thirds, so I have a nice like.
No, mine's like a crumpled nest.
It's like 6 ply basically. By the time I'm done with it.
Man, you're using a lot of toilet paper. No, with the one ply, you can get a lot of surface area. You're getting a lot of little angles. You're getting a good texture to really get everything clean. I want to be. You know what? I should just shout out bidets.
Oh, yeah.
That would end this whole conversation. Bidet beats everything. But yeah, I should have shout out bidets rather than
Well,
one.
too late.
See, it's one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want the worst option or the best option. I'm a person of extremes.
Like Billy Joel.
Is Billy Joel a person of extremes?
Well, he had a song, I Go to Extremes.
Oh, all right. I need to look that up because I was like, I don't see him as like...
He has bipolar disorder is what it was.
Oh, okay. He has a really beautiful Baroque album.
Oh, yeah. Fantasies
like
and Delusions.
Baroque. Yeah. Nice. So we'll shout out Fantasies and Delusions.
Shout out Billy Joel. Leah, what about like...
my actual stuff?
You do a lot of comedy. How do people find you and follow your stuff?
Okay. I have a website, leahrenee.co.com is not available. If you know who has
Really?
it, let me know. We tried to, yeah.
Is there something there or is it
somebody
just...
bought it and then you can send a message to the person to go, hey, can I buy this domain? And they just never got back to us. So their loss. And then I have a podcast. That's how we met each other. We're part of like a podcasting network of fun people. So I have a podcast. I just call it Leah Renee Podcast to make it easier for people.
And like to find your shows, like the best way is to go on leahrenee.co.
Yep, leahrenee.co. I'll put it on there. And of course, I'm on all the platforms. I don't post much to social media, but yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Substack, Reddit. I made a Reddit page because a lot of AI search Reddit for information. So
a lot of normal people on Reddit. A lot of well-adjusted people on Reddit.
And there's a ton of people from the UK that are on Reddit. And I gig over there a lot. So I started doing ads on Reddit for some of my shows because they are like a 10th of the price of Google ads or Meta ads. And then I'm not paying for Mark Zuckerberg. Then I can pay somebody else. Sorry for using a swear word. That felt inauthentic. But I don't like him.
I don't either.
Mark, here, change it. Mark Zuckerberg.
That's somehow ruder. I used to work in commercials, and at one point I was doing a commercial for Oculus, which was his virtual reality thing. And I was like, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock every morning and doing like 16-hour days, working as hard as I can to make Mark Zuckerberg a little richer.
Yeah.
And it was like like a crisis of conscience, and I don't do commercials now. I do a podcast which doesn't pay anything.
Yeah, well, no, I mean that's what you're doing when you post stuff on Instagram. You are working for free for a for-profit organization whose goal is to get as many human eyeballs staring at content for as long as possible, and you volunteer to help them in their mission.
In many ways, we're living in a nightmare from which there is no awaking.
It's all terrible. I'm sorry. I wanted this to end nicely. That was fun. Thank you for having me on. And I wish you well in this new endeavor. And I'm glad that you're not making Oculus stuff for Mark Zuckerberg.
Thank you so much. And thanks for going to the video store with me. Lots of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
The end. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Forgotten Video Store. Share this podcast with your friends. And follow the show on your podcast app because next week I've got an episode with Matt Evans, an Austin-based doctor to horses and comedian to human beings. Forgotten Video Store is a slop-free zone. We never use any AI for any part of the production of this podcast. The only AI I'd ever get behind is Haley Joel Osment if he needed a shoulder rub. The music in this episode is Funky Energy Loop by Kevin MacLeod and Compotech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Okay, bye!